Welcome to They Tried to Bury Us. My name is Tamer Kattan. I'll be your host. I'm a comedian, a writer, and an actor. I was born in Egypt and moved to America when I was just a kid, so I'm very proud of being an immigrant. And ever since I started doing comedy, I've met more and more immigrants, and I have found more and more amazing stories, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week, I'm going to have a new guest. They're going to sit down and share with us their American origin stories, and we're going to get to know each other better, and we're going to find out that we're all just the same. So tune in each week, tell every single person you know, and thanks for listening. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of They Tried to Bury Us. I'm Tamer Kattan, as always with my co-host,
Kity Kattan.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You look really nice today. You're wearing a pearl necklace and a black dress.
That's your gift from Christmas. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I got you a gift and you returned it.
No.
And you got a different necklace.
Oh my God.
You are so
On the
insensitive.
air. No, you told. So sorry. Let me clear this. I
Okay.
love everything you give it to me.
Except
but
the necklace I bought you.
The necklace was too long, and you told me when you got it, I like it short, so they short it for you. And I said, great. So I went, and they say, no, we can't short it. I said, I'm sorry. My son told me you have to short it. They say, no. So I said, I'm sorry. I can't take it too long like that. I have to show it. So
Sure.
I switch it to this one, and I know this is your test. Same store, same money, everything. I don't rip you off, and I'm happy with it.
I think
Thank
it's a
you.
sneaky way to find out how much I paid for your gift. That's
No,
what I
I
think.
don't know. They didn't tell me, but when I switch, they say, okay. So now everything is clear.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're wearing it. It makes me feel happy as a son that you like it. And hey, I'm really excited to introduce our guest today because I think he's someone whose comedy you'd very much like. I binged on your comedy for like the last several days, and I've laughed out loud multiple times. I actually screen grabbed a couple comments too. So let me introduce you first. Our guest today is the super funny Fabrizio Copano. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Fabrizio Copano, he's one of the most well-known comedians in Latin America. He's the first South American comedian to shoot an original comedy special for Netflix. He's an actor and a writer of the hit Chilean comedy show El Club de la Comedia.
That was,
Pretty good? Pretty good?
Sounds like chlamydia, but it's comedia.
Okay, let me try it again. El
The
Club de
Chlamydia
la
Club.
Comedia.
Perfect.
Hey, órale. All right. He was also the lead of his own late night show, El Late Copano.
Great.
And he was one of the hosts of the Comedy Central Latin America produced La Culpa de Es de Colón.
Perfect. Yeah,
Look at
Columbus' fault. Like
Columbus-
Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the show was about like talking about the different experience of each country in South America.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know who blamed for all of this? Columbus.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And there's one other thing I noticed on one of your, there's a post that you had on Instagram called, it was about we in South America put zeros in our money to make us feel like we're more rich.
Yeah, yeah,
Which I was already laughing at the title. But the thing that caught my eye is right away there was a post that came out, and here's what this person wrote. It wrote, Grande, el mejor humorista y chilenito. And I just thought, wow, it must be so cool because I don't know of a lot of Chilean comedians.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Well, there's
and
not
you
that
are
many.
not just a Chilean. You're a very good comedian, extremely popular
Thank you.
comic. So I could see the love through the Instagram post where these
That's
people are
cool.
so proud of you.
I mean, it's so weird to, you know what? Sometimes you try to be like, I don't care about what people say about me on the internet. But then when you have like this wave of like good energy, you're like, oh, this is nice.
100%.
I mean, it's so nice to have people on the other side of the world be like, keep going, man. Like, good work.
100%.
It's, yeah, I this week, actually, I think that last week, I started sharing some of my stuff in English on my Instagram. I didn't do it before, and I think it was a big surprise for a lot of my fans there. We're like, what? Like, and your English is okay.
Your English is more than okay.
Thank
it's
you.
really good.
I've been working a lot on this, and it's been like 2 years of just like having this English and be able to like share my stuff.
So I'm
really happy.
You did something that's pretty crazy. I mean, you were a big star in Chile, not just Chile, in South America.
I have an audience in Chile that is like, I was born and raised there, so that's my main audience. And then I started doing this Comedy Central show, and I started doing shows in Argentina, in Colombia, in Mexico, and I have like an audience in each country, so I can tour all over that area of the world. And yeah, I have like my fan base over there.
And then you said, but it's not enough. It's not enough. I
Exactly
want the world.
with that tone. It's like, it's not enough.
Yeah, like that scene in with Tony Montana and Scarface. He's like,
thunder.
the world is mine.
There was thunder outside. It was raining. I was like, that's not enough. Yeah, I decided to move because, I mean, this is a story. Like in Chile, there was not a stand-up comedy scene when I started. I started when I was 16.
Wow.
And I watched the comedian documentary, this documentary with Seinfeld and Arnie Adams.
Yeah, I love that documentary.
And I started researching about, I don't know, Andy Kaufman and the Comedy Store and like all this idea of like what was being a stand-up comedian and the life of a stand-up comic. And I was like, that's what I want for my life.
Yeah.
So, but there was there was nowhere to, I mean, there was it's still this one proper comedy club in Chile, but there was nothing like that.
Yeah.
So me and a group of friends, we started doing a show at the second floor of a tango club. Because this Argentinian guy was super nice and he gave us the space. And then like, yeah, we started like working on this. And but my dream was like, I want to be at the Comedy Store. I want to be at the clubs in the US. I want to be able to do stand-up in both languages.
Yeah.
So at some point, I mean, for one side was like, it's not enough. But at the other side was like, from the beginning, that was the goal.
Yeah.
So
Bigger dream.
yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, just try it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna achieve it, but like I'm trying really hard.
Yeah.
So let's see where it goes.
You're almost like the Jamaican bobsled team, but for comedy.
I mean,
Where nobody in Jamaica knew Stone. You're like, it doesn't matter. We're going to be the first.
we're gonna be the first.
That's extra courageous because there's no real examples in your country. You had to find examples from outside the country.
There was a couple of guys, but they didn't call themselves like stand-up comedians.
Sure.
But there was not like a scene. There was no place to like tour or like doing shows. The first shows were weird. People didn't understand what we're doing.
Yeah.
It was like, what kind of karaoke is this?
Sure.
Why there's everything about like it looks like karaoke, but there's no singing. And then now it's a big deal all over South America. I mean, it's great. Like you have many amazing comedians all over. I mean, Argentina have a great comics. Colombia too. I mean, it's really fun. Down there.
Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story. And like the cultures that we come from are older cultures.
Yeah.
So I feel like once the cultures catch up,
absolutely,
then it's almost like with basketball in the Olympics, where America was beating everybody, but it's because other countries didn't grow up with it.
Absolutely.
And then the other countries caught up, and it's so much more fun to watch the Olympics now. Because now you don't know that America's going to win by 50 points anymore.
What happened to me is I feel very lucky of move to this town now. I feel like even with all the immigration problems, you still can feel that you're bringing something new.
Yeah.
And you can see other comics that are very talented, but they're like, they don't have new experiences because, they're just American kids who are trying to be comics and it's really hard for them. But I bring another background. I bring I'm bringing things from other planet in a way for Americans.
100%. And for a group of people that are underrepresented in media, in storytelling.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's so great when you not only come up with great material, but you come up with great material for an audience that's thirsting to see themselves in the comedy.
Yeah.
Like Russell Peters, right? He's this great Indian Canadian comedian, travels all around the world. And the one story I always remember is a Korean guy going up to Russell and saying, "Hey, Russell, how come you don't make fun of us? You make fun of everybody else. Why don't you make fun of us?
Why not us?" Yeah.
It's the opposite of political correctness.
Absolutely.
And I love that. That's the way comedy should be, where people are like, wait, give us a turn. Make fun of us too.
I remember having the theory that the worst way of discrimination is not making fun of a group. It's like, I'm avoiding you guys. It's like, oh, so we're not normal.
Exactly.
The normal thing is making fun of everyone.
Exactly.
And at some point it changed, but I don't know. I mean, everything changed so fast that maybe next year we're going to be in a different position about all of this.
Sure.
So
how long ago did you come here?
I arrived here. I mean, the first 6 months I was in a tourist visa, and then officially 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. And how long you've been practicing English for?
Yeah.
And learning English and doing English in joke form? is two completely different things.
I mean, it's been crazy. I have to say that when I see my videos and I'm like, when doing something that is super like hard and it's kind of working, and even if I have like, I don't know, still I have 10 minutes. It's been 2 years for 10 minutes in English. And like, I'm proud of this 10 minutes more than my hours in Spanish.
Of course.
You know, like,
Yeah.
because this is like so much, like so hard work.
Yeah.
And I feel proud of that. I want to learn. I want to like keep exploring and trying to like find more material and try to get more gigs. Obviously, that's the hardest part, you know, in this town.
Sure.
But I feel really happy with this 10 minutes. I'm like, yeah, like,
You should be. It's great.
building something here.
It's so punchy, so funny, and a real original voice.
Thank you.
You've made a fan out of me.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So let me ask you this: you're in Chile before you decide to come to LA. There must have been some people that were, "Yay, Fabrizio! We're so proud of you. This is the thing to do. This is your destiny. Go do it. Make us proud." But there must have been other people that were like, "What are you doing?"
I mean, in my friends or like around me, not really.
Oh, that's great.
Because I mean, they're all super supportive, and you know, like, I mean, there were some people who was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
Yeah.
But no one was like, "No, don't try." But then you know, the audience is kind of weird sometimes. They're like, "Oh, you don't want to be here with us," and it's like, well, I'm everywhere. You know, through the internet, I make content in Spanish and English. You know, it's not like I just like quit comedy and I was like, this is better. No, it's different. I like to do both. I enjoy to do both. I want to like keep doing both. You know, that's also like something I want to do more here.
100%.
Doing more shows in Spanish.
It's almost like coming to LA to do comedy from Chile is like leaving a country and representing your country at the Olympics.
Exactly.
You're not leaving Chile, you're representing Chile.
And I always go. I still make most of my money there. So I have to go, I mean, at least 1 month a year to just tour like crazy every day and, you know, try to actually craft material and at the same time building a big show I can put out there. And so I'm there too. But yeah, I mean, there's some people who's like, I don't know. There are always people who want to like drag you down.
Of
and
course.
be like, you're not going to, and like, why you're trying, or like, that's stupid. But I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
What do you think has been the hardest thing in terms of the difference between stand-up in Chile and then stand-up in LA? I mean, you already have the language to learn.
Yeah.
But were there other cultural things that you had to navigate?
I think the hardest thing was, and I still like trying to understand how to get gigs.
Oh,
I mean, the system of like going on stage here is very different than in South America. In South America, it's more like you're kind of putting a play and you perform in the same place for months. And then, yeah, you can tour all over the country, but mostly like you're in one place. I mean, I'm in this comedy club every Monday, in this comedy club every Thursday, all over the year.
like a residency almost.
It's kind of a residency. So it's really easy for me to craft material if I'm going on stage every night and I have like, I don't know, 20 minutes or like enough time to like build. But then here it was like, that's not how it works. That's not at all. It's you have to like, and it's really about like making friends and connecting with people and people connecting you to bookers and bookers helping and being always like being writing and hustling for spots. And that's new for me. That was the hardest. And still like there's a week I'm not performing and I try to get to open mics, all of that. But it's like, can't believe I'm gonna not perform for a week. I can't, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because I'm used to like perform every day.
Well, you know what an international currency is for comedy that's better than Bitcoin is social media followers.
Oh yeah, I know.
And you've got a ton.
I know. I for one side, I feel like I should do it more. I should be like more, hey, I have this amount of followers.
Sure.
But I wasn't like so. I mean, I wasn't ready, and I feel now I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm saying now like a week ago. I feel like now I can go, because I was like, I don't want to be the guy who's like, look at my followers and then be bad on like bomb on stage.
Well, God bless you for saying that. There's been too many YouTube stars that I've seen on stage.
I know.
And no disrespect to YouTube stars. It's a new thing. I like what they're doing, but the stage and a camera are two totally different
It's different.
things.
It's a different game. Yeah. So I didn't want to be like that kind of guy who try and is like, yeah, I have these followers, put me on stage, and then I'm not good. I'm not a comic.
Yeah.
I wanted to be ready. Yeah. And yeah, now I think it's the time to like try to hustle in a different way. I think I'm trying to understand the business side of this now that I have the material.
Yeah, that's great. Well, absolutely, dude. You're definitely ready.
Thank you,
You're
man.
definitely ready.
Thank you.
So tell me this: what about your toughest period when you first got here? Is there a particular period that stands out to you where you go, "Whew, this was the time where I was almost like, get me out of here"?
You know, when I moved here, I'm very lucky because I have a beautiful, wonderful girlfriend, and she's super supportive, and she's with me all the time. And I mean, I can't imagine how painful it will be like if I moved by myself.
Yeah.
But I moved with someone, so that was nice.
From Chile, she came with.
No,
you.
she's from Texas.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what my mom always used. If a racist goes up to my mom and he goes up to her and says, let's do this. Let's do an act out. Okay? I'm a racist. My mom is working at a golf course in Orange County. Hey, where's your accent from?
From Texas.
That's her go-to state.
Accurate.
Every time.
Accurate.
But then they say, well, Texas, they don't speak like that.
I mean,
Texas, they don't speak like that. I said, they don't have this accent. I said, well,
Well, especially because you pronounce Texas like taxes.
not taxi, Texas.
but well, her family is actually from the border, so they're really connected with like Hispanic culture, and they have an accent. Not all of
Sure.
them, but like I seen people, like I talk with people and they have an accent.
Absolutely true. I mean, it's funny too, because I remember I did a show in Texas one time, and a guy yelled out in the middle of my set because I was doing immigrant stuff.
Okay.
And then he was drunk, and he yelled out, "God bless America," like every drunk heckler. A bad joke. And then I go, "Good. I hope he does bless America." But you know what God would say if he heard you say that? He'd say, "What's America?" Yeah. God didn't make countries. It was us that drew that line.
Yeah, I mean-
so really, Texans and Mexicans, who drew that line?
Who drew that line? A human, a shitty human being, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. God is like, what is a country? What is all that?
Exactly.
What is blessing, by the way?
John Lennon had it right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No countries, no really, like we're all the
Absolutely.
same.
Well,
Okay, so I didn't mean to cut you up. You've got this great girlfriend. She's from Texas.
and I think the hardest part was when I moved here. Well, first of all, when I moved here, I was super excited. I was like,
yeah.
I can't believe I'm here. I finally here. I went to like the comedy store or the Laugh Factory, the improv. I was like, oh, I can't believe this place is like the comic culture here. I sing I sign up in every open mic every night. And then it's like reality hit you. And it's like, oh, okay. First of all, I'm not good. I'm not good in another language yet. I'm very far from being good. So I have to like start from scratch. I tried to translate jokes, like the kind of jokes that work in South America. And I was like, no, that's not the way,
Yeah.
Start from scratch. And then I started like going to every open mic and try to build. And then, this open mics are very depressing.
Sure.
They super sad.
They're brutal. For those that don't know, the reason why they are that way is because the audience is full of a bunch of other comedians.
Other comics, so you can't feel the real, if this joke is working or these people are not paying attention or they don't want it to be working.
Yeah.
It's all kind of in your mind, but
It's just
still.
a distorted mirror. You can't tell if you really do look fat in your jeans or if you're in front of a funhouse mirror.
Absolutely.
Because the comics are just, and they're not doing it to be mean. They're just thinking about their sets.
Absolutely.
So they're not giving you any response, and it's a really heartbreaking thing.
And your brain is like, it worth it? Like this time it makes sense. And then I realized that the open mics are not about the audience, they're about you. And you like finding the way to say this, just like hear it for yourself, more than like hearing the laugh. I mean,
Exactly.
It's hard to understand those nuances of how it works. And for that period, I started like getting a little bit like, oh, this is not what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Probably around that time also I was running out of money and I was thinking like, okay, I have to go back to Chile, but I don't want it because I moved here to like be here and explore this. But I was like, I still have to go for like 2 months to perform in this thing and like do this other show. So it was kind of like, Chile was like pushing me back in a way.
Sure.
And at the same time, I really want to like to be able to perform in English and work my material. And that period was kind of also it punched you in the ego because
100%. Because you weren't just a comedian at an open mic, which is already soul crushing. You're already a star.
at the other side, your brain is like, damn it, I can't. I go to Chile or Argentina. I can be in a place where I'm in a theater that is packed.
Yeah.
And now I'm here with 3 people, looking at me like shit. And
In the back of a coffee joint.
and even if you, my dream is doing stand up in English. So I still like that was pushing me to like keep. At the other side was like, I really need this. Like there was a place in my mind where I was like, I really need this.
Yeah.
Like, And yeah, and that was kind of the more depressive part. I also, like, when you move here, this city is really lonely, is super big.
Yeah.
So when you try to see friends, you have to drive for hours, or like, schedule everything. I mean, yeah, that try to understand the rhythm of the city and the comedy business, and at the same time crack my language. It was more painful.
So many layers of difficulty all at the same time.
But also, at the same time, I have to say, and I always repeat that to myself, it's like, I am the luckiest guy ever. I am super lucky. I have friends. I have people that love me. I'm not here by myself. I've been able to work my material. I have an audience in another country, so I still can do my stuff if I need it. And at the same time, I have very good friends here that put me in their shows. They help me to get gigs. So yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky. And my immigration is one of the nicest way to be an immigrant in this country.
Sure.
You see the news, or you see what's going on with other people, and you're like, damn it, like. What
makes you so humble? Like, there's a lot of young. If you told me a story, if I was writing a movie about a young comic who was already a star in his home country and moving to another country, that amount of humility from such a young guy who's so good at what he does, where did you get that from? Who taught you that? Because that's not something you'd hear in a movie made about a comic who's from America.
I think there's something about. This is gonna sound weird, but I was a jerk already. I did that, I because it's like, how to explain this? I started when I was 16. When I was 21, I was in a primetime TV show that was like kind of the SNL of Chile.
Wow!
And we were like our stars, and we were like the first stand-up comedians of the country. So we were like super cool. And I was young. I was getting more money than I ever needed. I was living in my own apartment, doing my stuff, my car. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I started making movies, and I was like already like, I can do whatever. And then with time, you start thinking like, oh, but that's the time I did the worst jokes. The jokes I don't think like they're that great, or the time that was like not nice with people that I love, or I was like disconnected of reality. So I really went through that.
Yeah.
And I think now that I'm close, I'm going to turn 30 in March. I feel like I don't want to do that. I did that.
Yeah.
I know how it works. And I understand when people go through that, because it's part of like getting to, a big audience, or like, it's kind of, it hit your brain in a way. It's impossible to escape from that.
Yeah.
But then you go through that, and you're not going to do it twice. You're not, I'm nothing here. And that's great, because I can understand what is like the most important thing about being a comic, that is crafting the material.
Yeah.
But I did that. And so I'm humble, because I was ready was a jerk.
Yeah.
When I was 21, 22. And then I get through the path of like, stop doing that. I understand how it was much better for you not being a jerk.
Yeah. 100%. It's funny, because a lot of times, I think more so in comedy than almost any other art form, usually when you meet someone, the more famous they are, they almost have the potential to be a bigger jerk.
Yeah.
But with comedy, there's so much self-examination.
And reality hit you every time you go on stage. You know? You can think like, I'm the best. You go and it's like, nope.
Yeah, it's so true.
And then a guy who's come from nowhere is like killing after you or before you, and you're like, okay, this is great, because it ground you every time, bring you back to reality. You go off stage thinking like, I killed tonight. Next day, same jokes, nothing.
Yeah, even Kylie Jenner.
Yeah.
Right? Instagram, she's like, I got this many millions of followers, and then an egg beat her.
Yeah, egg, and you're gone.
She's done. And the egg is better than a Kardashian.
But
the egg is done.
Yeah, the egg is done. But still, like, reality hit you all the time when you're a comic. And that's nice. That's a nice feeling of like, oh, now I remember, this is just a bar.
Yeah. Hey, Kity, you've known me since I've started comedy. Uh-huh. Did I go through that period where I was
a lot.
Wow.
I listened to him, like it's my son repeat himself again, But you know what? If you follow your heart and you're gonna do it, you will.
Oh,
100% you will. You are in a very tough competition.
Oh, yeah.
It's a not easy job. You compete every night with different people. So you have to follow your heart and your brain, and you're gonna be okay.
I got the same feeling.
Yeah,
I think you're
yeah.
right. I think it's also like a lot of this is
Institutionalized?
Intuition.
Oh, intuition.
Intuition. That's
Yes,
the word.
like your heart to follow. But you know what? You work double.
Yeah.
Very double. You try to learn English. You try to do your joke in English. That's not easy. Sometimes I laugh about Arabic joke. It's so hilarious, and I try to say it in English.
Oh,
It doesn't
yeah.
work.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't
That's something
work.
that I learned.
So you cannot say it. So now you're doing like you start from the bottom, but with great attitude, and you work hard. That's great. You know.
Thank you so much. But
Yeah.
I think you're completely right. It's so crazy how like language can change the meaning of a joke.
Oh
Yeah.
It's so
yes.
different. It's
Yeah.
so different. I have a friend of mine that is my favorite comedian in Latin America. He's a genius. He's kind of like an Andy Kaufman, but I think he's even more. And this is crazy to say. Like he's even better.
Okay. You got to tell me his
I
name.
know, I know.
I got to look him up.
This guy is called Felipe Abello. But once again, maybe you're gonna show, like you're gonna see it, and he's like, "What's the funny part?"
And I'll blame you for it. I'll send you mean emails. I'm like, Fabrizio, estúpido.
So he's a genius.
Yeah.
But once again, it's such a like specific for like the language and the timing and the way he say things and the culture and how he play with this idea of like, I mean, in Spanish you can say things and the meaning is the opposite in a
Sure.
way. It's so, like, and he's used the language in an extreme amazing level.
Yeah.
But once again, if I translate those jokes in English, probably they bomb immediately.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, you learn that coming to America and trying every night. That's the only way to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because I think one of the strangest lessons I learned in comedy is sometimes in the beginning, I was so worried about the words because I was a writer before.
Oh yeah.
So for me, it was like, get the words perfect. And then I realized comedy is really what is funny coming out of you.
Yeah.
They start, before you even come to the stage, they've already started judging you. So it's almost like it's not only finding the funny words, but it's finding the funny words that fit the archetype that
What you're
you
saying.
represent.
Yeah. Other neat thing that was new for me when I moved here was trying to figure out how I look.
Yeah.
You know, because I was already have like a stage persona on Spanish, and they was like, oh, now I have to figure out
wow.
how I look, who I am.
That's so interesting. I never thought, because it's right. It's an archetype.
Yeah.
Right? Like in America, if I look a certain way in a certain part of town, they'd be like, oh, that guy looks like a bad guy character
Yeah.
or a criminal. Whereas another part of town, they go, oh, he looks like a guy who rides bikes.
And once again, I still don't know how I look. I know that my character on stage here is like a fish out of water trying to understand America. And that's now like what I have.
Yeah.
But still don't know who I am on stage.
Yeah.
You know? But that's crazy. That's a crazy thing that, yeah, you start like, I used to write my whole jokes, like write sentence by sentence. And then I was like, oh, that's not how it works. I'm just gonna write like the idea.
Yeah.
Because the way I'm gonna word it is gonna be have to be natural.
100%.
And now that's what I do. I just word my jokes and try to like, and then when I find a structure, I repeat it, but then I have to try to change it to make it sound more, not so, how would you say this? When it sounds like you rehearse this for many hours.
Sure.
Like, you want to make it sound natural, organic.
Yeah.
So once again, you change a little bit the words when you're there to like make it sound organic.
It's so true. One or two words is the difference between having a conversation with an audience or speaking at the audience.
Oh, and people can read it immediately.
Yeah.
Two things, and then you're like, oh, this guy is a TED Talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? The foundation, the hardest thing. When you build the house, the first steps is the foundation. It's very hard,
Yeah.
but you have it. You have the foundation already. Now, step by step to do second floor, third
Yeah,
floor.
absolutely.
But you have it.
Well, something that that was nice. It was I was going to open mics, and then I feel really comfortable on stage, and I was like, oh, that I have that. You know?
exactly.
It's
It's a huge part of it.
And that's huge, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I feel comfortable on stage. And yeah, and then was like, okay, now I have to find a way to like make my jokes work. But now I have something, and that's probably the foundations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a quote I used to have above my wall where it said, knowledge is only a rumor until it lives in the muscle.
Wow.
And it immediately made me think of comedy. Like where my words were just words
Yeah.
until I stopped thinking about the words, and then it was just coming out of me naturally. Where if there was a noise in the audience, I addressed the noise and went right back to my joke without a beat. Like I was just having a conversation.
It's crazy how the only way to learn that is being a stand-up comedian.
100%.
There's no other way.
Yeah.
When I see workshops and all that, I know that they work for other people, but for me it was like, I can't teach you that. The feeling of like, wow, I write all these jokes that are funny and people are not connecting because I'm not there.
Yeah.
My brain is in other place and they can read it.
They can see it.
They can see it. They can smell it from far.
Yeah. And it's tough too, because it's almost like you can't become a great comedian without bombing, the way you can't become a great boxer without getting a black eye.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're afraid of getting hit, if you're afraid of failure, you're never going to reach your full potential.
I agree.
That's what's so hard about comedy. You have to fail in public.
Yeah.
Like if Michael Jackson wrote Beat It, and from the first draft, he had to do it in front of an audience, it'd be terrifying. Like comedians are like strippers, but if the room was full of people that said, I don't like your boobs, like that's so mean.
Yeah. That's so mean. It's so mean. And the worst thing is not what happened in the audience, it's what happened in your brain.
Yeah.
I think that's the worst part. It's like people
the worst heckler.
don't care. People move on with their life immediately. During your set, they move on with their lives.
Yeah.
But in your brain, that can be for weeks, for months. It's like, okay, they know I'm bad. They know it. You know, like I'm not good. And that's the worst part of being a comic is like people think like, oh, you work an hour a day or like, I don't know, you're doing a set that night. Your brain is hooked to this.
Yeah.
And
24 hours.
never stop. Never stop. You know? And you're like trying to find something funny and write it down and thinking that maybe this could be something. And then next month you're like, oh, that idea was bad. It took you a month knowing that idea was bad.
That's why it's bad to invite comedians to funerals. They're like, she was a great woman. I'm like, how great was she? So tell me about your best period of time. When's been your happiest period in America?
My happiest period in America, I think, was kind of at the end of last year when now I have this set that is 10 minutes or a little bit more, and I start doing a lot of shows. I mean, I understand a little bit how to book, and a couple of friends put me in a bunch of shows, so I was like doing shows here and there. And then I went to San Francisco, and it was my first time there. And a guy booked me a show in Spanish for like Chilean community over there. And at the same time, I text to Chris Garcia, that is a really funny comedian from San Francisco. And he was like, yeah, I can help you to like make some connections. And these people who run that show at the setup over there, they have me for a night. And I did so well. I was like so happy. I was like, oh, this is great. And I have it in video. And I was like, damn it, like this is a good night.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we have another show later. You want to come and do twice?
Right on.
And I was like, oh, I can't because I have another show. I hadn't. And he's like, no, you can come back later. I did 3 shows in a night for the first
great.
time. And I was like, oh, this is what I want.
And you told one of my favorite jokes at that room, I think. Was that the room where you said, I am an American?
Oh, yeah. The Avengers joke?
The Avengers joke.
Yeah, that was that night.
Can you talk that joke through? Because I thought it was brilliant. This is the thing that's funny. When people think of, oh, I'm a comedian from Latin America, and now I'm writing these jokes in English, and I've got 10 minutes. I think people might think, oh, well, the ideas are still complex.
Oh, yeah.
That Avengers joke is like incredibly intelligent, well-written joke with a really strong metaphor that explained. I will never forget that joke because it's a conversation I have with South Americans all the time. Hey, we're American too.
Yeah.
And I think that is my favorite metaphor
Thank you.
and favorite support for the argument of why South Americans are allowed to call themselves American.
Well, once again, that's the kind of joke that you write the idea, and then the only way to find it is like just doing it, and then you find the timing. And now it's like, I think it's like 80% ready. I still need a little bit more of like little things so it can change. But the premise is, to explain it to like the audience, is you know that people say like you're not American, Well, you know about this.
yeah,
You know very well about
She's
this.
from Texas,
Yeah.
Fabrizio.
Oh
Excuse me.
Sorry. I completely forget that information.
I mean taxes. I had to say it right.
The small Texas, the small town there.
Hey, I'm proud of my accent.
I am too. I
speak
love your
two
accent.
language, okay?
I mean,
So smart.
I always said that when people is like, oh, correcting me or like changing me, I was like, yeah, but if you try Spanish,
Yeah.
I want to see you try Spanish.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, but the thing is like, we are Americans because the name of the continent is
Yeah.
America, you know?
Yeah.
So Chile and Argentina, everyone's like, we are also Americans.
Yes, you're here.
And then I said, like, it is you guys who decided to call yourself Americans. I told to the audience, you guys are like if one of the Avengers decided to call himself the Avenger, you know? And the rest of the group is like, wait. No, that's not how it works. You know, when we're all together, we are the Avengers.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And this guy's like, no, listen to me. I am the Avenger. And then I said, you know what everyone will think about that guy? That he's an asshole. And
of
that's
course.
the way that we'll see you guys when they do the chits. That's not doing
Exactly.
it. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I love it. I think it's the first joke that I'm really proud that I have here.
Here's what I love about that joke. Comedian to comedian, I would never ask a comedian to talk a joke into a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
But that joke isn't just a joke. It's such a great argument.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's
for sure.
not just a joke. It's absolutely, you could tell that joke straight face seriously at a debate. And people go, damn, he's right.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
You can't just say, if all of us are called Americans, you can't just suddenly call yourself the American.
You know, it's like, yeah, we're a group. We're a family
Yes,
here. What's going on?
exactly.
You're stealing our last name.
And you're the newest one.
Yeah.
It's like a son being, I'm dad now.
What?
And
No.
your dad going, wait a minute, I'm older than you.
I've been dad before you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I have friends that are like from developing nations, and they're like, "Why do they call us the third world? We were here first." And I'm like, "You're right. It's true."
Yes.
And it's so we're like being from the third world. Like, who's like, why?
Exactly.
First of all, it's not a world. Like,
Yeah. Why is it a different world?
it's still the same world. And what is like the third? Like, why is not the second? You just go from one to third.
Exactly. There's no
nothing-
second world.
No, it's just one.
Same people,
third.
you know, same people.
I've
same-
always hated
yeah.
that language. Even the word alien has always bothered me.
So
Yeah.
weird.
I've never liked that word.
I have this visa, and I also talk about that in my comedy. It's called a visa for extraordinary alien.
That's the one of you with the little boy in the tie.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great picture.
That's the name of the visa. So I have an extraordinary talent.
Being a comedian. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something people forget about the craft of comedy is it is a special ability. Same with me when I was in London. You had to apply for a special kind of visa, but as a performer in a creative field, we do have special skills.
It's weird. I remember the first
Like
time
Avengers.
I get to it's like being an Avenger. I went to an airport and they asked me what you do for a living, and it was really like it took me a couple of years to consider myself a comedian because I was like, I'm not a comedian. I'm a guy trying to be a comedian. You know, it's like I always say this metaphor of like there's people who play tennis on the weekend and they're tennis players.
Sure.
You know? So I was like, I'm still not a comedian. And the first time I was like, my graduation of being a comedian was when I get to the airport, I was like, I'm a comedian.
That's
Good for
great.
you,
You know?
yeah.
That's great.
Feel good.
But they love
Yeah,
it. Like they
yeah.
love in airports, they love
Oh
that.
my God,
They
it's so
love
true.
that.
Every airport security I go through, there'll always be like really serious.
Yeah.
Okay, how long are you here for? 2 months. 2 months? What are you doing here? Work? I'm here for work. What do you do for work? I'm a comedian. Oh, you're a comedian? And I'm like, when did that just change?
Yeah. Oh, you're a human being. You can smile. Wow.
I think the word make him feel happy, you know.
Immediately.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You're gonna smile through your job, you know. So
And they have a really boring joke. And probably all the time it's like engineer, you know, like I don't know, something like that. And now it's like comedian. Yeah, I remember this guy was like, okay, tell me a joke.
Yeah,
Like,
oh, that's the worst.
and I was like, I can't. He's like, I'm just kidding. I'm also a comedian. I was like, what?
but
Did
you
say
make people
agent?
happy. People they stress or something, they go club at night, they need release.
That's the reason
and
why
listen to you
people
to
love
enjoy
comedians.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something we forget. Like
Yeah.
when we're chasing our dreams so hard and we're working so hard to get stage time, to get the right people to notice us, to create comedy that we love. We're chasing it so hard that we forget that it is a nice thing that we do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is a great thing when people come up to us and give us a handshake or give us a hug. Not
Thank
just
you.
at the funny stuff, but also like stuff when people come up to me and say like, wow, I grew up in a similar way, or I had a similar experience,
Yeah.
or I've never heard anyone talk about that before. To me, the best moments are one, when you get a big, big laugh, but also when people are silent and they say, oh my God, that's so true.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite
You
moments.
share something.
Yeah.
Some people they
It's a
can't
human
talk
human
about
connection
it.
that shows we're all the same.
Yes,
And I
it's
think
very
that's,
good.
I mean, sometimes it's harder, like, because I mean, we know the tricks to get a laugh, like a cheap laugh. You can get a laugh,
Yeah.
but then connect, that's hard, man.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
take more. I'm thinking far from that yet, to really like feel those moments when you're like, oh, we're just like, we're bonding with the audience,
Yeah.
And you're right. I think even for me, all the time, I have to remind myself, like, oh yeah, this is about being funny.
Yeah.
Because then I'm trying to like get these ideas in my mind, and I read too much. I read too many things. I watch too many documentaries. I feel like, oh, damn it, the world is falling apart. I have to say something at this open mic for 5 people, to change the world. And then you go there, it's like, oh, yeah, you have to be funny.
Yeah.
And that's good to remember that. Oh, this is just about being funny.
Well, you just answered the next question I was going to ask you, which was, what would happy Fabrizio say to Fabrizio when he was going through the tough time?
Oh yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
This is something that is about having fun. If you're not having fun, people can tell that you're not having fun.
Yeah.
Even when you're angry, you're having fun when you're angry. Also, like when you're like saying the things you want to say from heart.
Yeah.
You don't look happy, but you're really being like free, and that experience is unique. We're very lucky to be comedians. We're very lucky to be able to be in a big city where we can meet other comics. We can talk about this. There's a business around it, and even at some point we can live just doing this.
100%.
And that's amazing. And I know like comedians deeply inside all know this, but then you have like all these other things on top, and then you try to kill me better than others, and all this culture of like, I'm macho and like I'm more like, that's so boring. It's the
such a
opposite of
waste.
funny.
I totally agree, man.
like, who cares?
It's such a waste.
I think you're more humble, more you succeed.
I don't understand how Fabrizio doesn't have a 3-foot-long beard. So much wisdom comes out of this baby face. He's like a Chilean Yoda. I don't understand.
My English is not that bad. My
Your English is better than Yoda's. You're right. your wisdom is like Yoda's. Your
But when I
grammar is
write
better.
emails, sometimes I'm like Yoda. I'm not that great.
At least nobody asks you where you're from.
Yeah.
At least you're not gonna say from Texas. Your
I think
English
it's still
good.
I think you can fake it a little bit more and say
No,
I'm from
you're very
Florida.
good.
Yeah.
Florida works. So, dude, thank you so much. You've been an amazing guest, and just like my sex life, this went way faster than I expected it to. Sorry for the sex joke, Mom.
No, it's okay.
You don't need that information.
But dude, tell first of all, bookers that are listening to this show, comics that are on the show, book this guy. It's not a regular 10 minutes of material. The way Allen Iverson was not a regular guy who was under 6 feet tall. He was it's a very concentrated, very funny 10 minutes. And absolutely growing, I'm sure.
Thank you, man.
So
I'm working on that. Yeah.
let everybody know where to find you, how they can find you, and what's coming up next for you.
Well, you can follow me at Fabrizio Copano. My name have a Z, is like Fabrizio.
Awesome.
It's like Fabrice, but not Fabrice. Fabrizio. I don't know if I'm saying.
Your name is one of my favorite smells.
I smell really good also. And you can follow me there. I have all my next dates over there. I'm going to be, I don't know when we're going to come out with this, but like I'm going to put all my things in Instagram so you can follow me and just go to see my shows. And I'm working a couple of projects that I would love to like, have it out there soon. I'm working on writing a web series that I want to like put out there. I just keep doing my job.
Right on. Right on.
for you.
Thanks so much for being
Thanks
here,
to you
man.
guys.
Good luck.
Thank you for having
Good
me.
luck.
Absolutely.
You're
You're a
gonna
great
be
guest.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have you back when you get your, let's have you back.
Happy to be back.
And
Yeah.
we'll talk
Yeah.
about your first, second, and third American milestones.
Yeah.
Right on. And thank you guys for listening to another episode of They Try to Bury Us. If you want to follow me for comedy, all things comedy are at tamerkattan.com, at tamercat on Instagram, and at tamerkattan on Twitter.